Okay, I just want to go over a brief problem with you. It's an intrusive thought in many ways, and I simply just wanted to hear your thoughts and ideas on the matter. And it's primarily concerning the relationship between language and necessity. Now, to take a step back, in philosophy, there are these two concepts of necessities and contingencies. And very simply put, necessities are true in every possible world, they are self evident, whereas contingencies could have been otherwise, or they're only true in specific cases or circumstances. I'm not going to give a whole background on the nature of contingencies and necessities. There are so many resources, so many textbooks, and so many readings on the matter that I just think it would be a futile effort for me to explore that here because I just wanted to get down to the problem and hear your ideas on it as well. So I'm concerned with the relationship between language and necessity. And when we think of mathematics, for example, as a language, which it very much is, we often hear the very predominant question of, is mathematics discovered or is it invented? And I do think that this is fundamentally a flawed question because I don't think we really know what we're asking of ourselves and of the world when we put that forth. And I think a much better question is mathematics a representation of contingency or of necessity? And what I mean by this is when you look at the phenomena that's observed and calculated and represented in numerical and linguistic form through mathematics, it's very important to understand if things could have been otherwise. And I think that's the lens by which it's interesting, at least, to look at the language of mathematics and then also the laws of physics as a whole. Because when we understand things or when we employ language, language is a categorization mechanism, a processing mechanism too in many ways, but it also allows us to define the limits of what we are observing. If I'm to describe this microphone, I could say it's soft up here, and we understand that because of what soft also is not. Now, when we bring this back down into, let's say, mathematical form, which is not at all my domain, which is why I'm asking of this, I'm curious if there really is a relationship between the phenomena we experience, let's say like liquids or forces or electromagnetism, fill in the blanks with any phenomena that we use maths to understand and describe, and if those things are contingent factors or if they're necessities of the world. Could they also exist in other worlds? And do we see them as their own categorical phenomena because we think in our brain somewhere that they could have been otherwise, or we understand that they are tuned a certain way because they can possibly be tuned in another way? And this is more of just a thought experiment to evaluate the nature of necessity and contingency, and again, what we're really asking of ourselves. So, if anyone gives a historical account of contingency and necessity or brings about page 57 of Aristotle's prior analytics, then I don't know what I'm going to do. Nothing. But that's not primarily what I'm asking of us here. I really want us to introduce new ideas to the matter, new thoughts, new explorations, because I think that's what's going to push the envelope ahead in terms of how we view things such as contingencies, because these give us our comprehensions of what a god might be like if there is one that exists. I think it really does push towards that boundary, for lack of a better term. And it's something that came to mind. I really just wanted to hear what you would have thought, or if the realm of mathematics really does explore this in a meaningful way. So there's 10% battery remaining is what you just heard. But one last note I wanted to make of this here is, again, I want us to understand and contemplate that when we exhibit language, we are also omitting information. We are implying what it is not. And I'm curious if necessities are directly correlated with absolutes, that if something is a necessity, then it is absolute because it can't be contingent on anything else. It doesn't have any other framework to work with. It doesn't have a range or a scale by which it could potentially operate, right? This is where you start getting into these weird arguments between free will and determinism, between probabilities. And I think it's a very burgeoning field in many ways that isn't as much explored in the modern day. But I also think it has so many implications on how we understand, view, see, those are all synonyms, experience the world both mathematically, linguistically, and philosophically, and then how we convey that information as well. I'm going to leave that there, keep this very brief, very short, but on to the next one. And remember to be human and let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much.